Hi everyone, welcome to this session. I hope that you just enjoyed my mum's session, Deborah Curtis, on the Great Imagining. Yeah, you might see some influence pouring over into this session as well. So today I'm going to talk to you about a youth collective that I'm part of called RE-PEAT. We are changing the paradigm on peatlands. So I'm going to show you a video first of all, and you can, sorry about the homemadeness. Yes.
So, what's RE-PEAT?
Well, we're a youth-led collective co-creating a peatland paradigm shift.
And what does that mean? And anyway, what is peat?
Okay, let's start at the beginning with the Peat 101. Peatlands, also known as bogs, mires, moors and fens, are composed of a mass of partially decomposed plant matter, peat. The plant matter is suspended in its path towards decomposition by a lack of oxygen and the acidity of the stagnant surrounding water.
Oh, so you mean the plants kind of get pickled in the water?
Well, something like that. Then the not quite decomposed plant material accumulates gradually over thousands of years and creates a peatland.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I think I've been to one before when I was little. Are they quite common?
Well, they're not too common. They only take up 3% of the world's land surface. But did you know that despite this, peatlands are the largest terrestrial carbon store on Earth? They store twice the amount of carbon as all the forests.
Wow, but what exactly is a peatland paradigm shift?
Well, put simply, a peatland paradigm shift is the shift in perception that happens when you go from not valuing peatlands to valuing them. Because when you appreciate peatlands, you also learn how to appreciate the memories of deep time, space, Earth systems and each other.
Oh yeah, haven't lots of bog bodies been found in peat and they were really well preserved?
Yeah, that's right. So part of the peatland paradigm shift is valuing the many gifts that healthy peatlands bring to the world. These include a stable climate system, reduced flooding, reduced fires, decreased saltwater intrusion, the prevention of drainage-related subsidence, and increased biodiversity. You can even find lots of weird and wonderful flora and fauna, like the insect-eating sundew. Understanding the gravity of what the world would look like without them is also part of the peatland paradigm shift.
Wow, peatlands seem to be really important for the planet. I had no idea. So tell me a little bit more about RE-PEAT then. How are you going to make this peatland paradigm shift happen?
Well, one thing that we do is talk to people like you who don't really know that much about peatlands and make them aware of the threats that peatlands face today, as well as their importance. We like to use creative modes of communicating because peatlands get our imaginations spinning. Another thing we do is connect different types of people who would not normally get together. Let's say an archaeologist and a policymaker, or a poet and a biologist, or all four.
But who exactly is RE-PEAT then?
Well, we're a collective of about 20 people, mostly under 25s, as well as some youthful over 25s, who work in 6 different working groups. As a collective, we strive to be non-hierarchical and respect different people's ebbs and flows of their precious time and energy resources. As a group, one of our main philosophies is the belief in the process, not just the outcome, which is exciting because that means we're always learning along the way.
So I hope that you like that video. It's a bit homemade. How did the group originally start? A group of us were in Germany for an action camp called Free the Soil. This camp was originally about chemical fertilizers and the connection between fossil gas and chemical fertilizers. But also at this camp, there was an excursion led by peatland scientist Jan Peters, perfect name. And we went on the excursion just quite randomly, and we were just absolutely blown away by the scale of the issue, the importance of the issue, and above all, the lack of awareness of the issue. So we were like, what should we do about this? And on the bus back, we came up with the name RE-PEAT, and ever since we've been kind of spreading the idea. So just a bit more information. This is a really in-depth report that the UN Environment and the Global Peatland Initiative published very recently about the threat to peatlands at the moment in the world. So this is an image from the report that I just showed you, and it's, I mean, I have shown images like this before, and I call them kind of like the circle of life. So I feel like there's so many different things that peatlands offer the world, like climate regulation, increased biodiversity, food, fresh water, the prevention of fires. But what happens is when you drain peatlands and then dry out, then a lot of these things get reversed. So that's the kind of really the like dualness to them, as much as the fact that they are kind of these dual paradoxical spaces of kind of not quite dead, not quite alive, not quite water, not quite earth. They also have this kind of dualness that is in either when they're healthy, they bring so much to the world, like enrich it, and when you drain them, they really like negatively impact a lot of different things in the world. So I think that's also a really interesting thing about peatlands. And then, so this is the one issue that comes from them, which is quite dramatic, is the climate effect of draining peatlands. So right now, the CO2 emissions from drained peatlands is actually roughly 5 to 6% of global anthropogenic emissions. So this is like almost 3 times as much as the aviation industry. It's that amount, and no one really talks about it. So it's kind of a weird thing. And here is a diagram that is also from the same report, kind of showing the emissions from different parts of the world. And Europe is actually a very big emitter of CO2 from drained peatlands. So the fact that a lot of us is based in Europe, we decide to also put a lot of effort into making that clear, raising awareness around that. Yeah, so when you basically how this works is that when you drain the peatlands, because the carbon is basically being stored in the not quite decomposedness of the plants, so they get kind of pickled, as I said in the video, kind of thing. And when you drain them, then they reoxidize and then they start to decompose. And every year that peatland is left dry, the soil erodes and more layers start to resurface and decompose, and it just continues to release CO2 into the atmosphere. So a bit more about RE-PEAT. We're now a foundation based in Amsterdam. We have renamed the city the Floating Peatland City in a local magazine, the Amsterdam Alternative. This is a drawing that I did for it. We're volunteer run, and we have a group of amazing people from lots of different backgrounds. One person from Germany, from Chile, from the UK, a bunch of places. And we are all kind of from different levels of experience and knowledge about peatlands. So that's quite fun. We always learn from each other. So this is a project that we did in May called Peatfest. And it was a 24-hour online global festival all about peat. And there was about 50 sessions over the course of the 24 hours. It was the moment when a lot of countries were in lockdown. So we decided to do it online, and we realized that means that you can just not care about national borders. And yeah, so the idea of being 24 hours was also kind of to be inclusive and to not kind of like center ourselves in it. Although, having said that, we did end up having mostly European contributions. So but yeah, but it was really amazing. We had different people from poetry reading to peat ball making to encountering peatlands through art to a session on heritage and bog bodies to carbon farming. So we learned a lot, and I'm still watching the sessions. If you want to watch the sessions, they're also online, so that's also good to know. And in the bottom of the screen, you can see some drawings that are from the field notebook that we did. So the idea was that every session we would illustrate, and it would be kind of like we've gone on a field trip through all of these different worlds. So yeah, that's a bit about Peatfest. So the next thing that we will been working on is a petition. So this petition is directed at the Dutch government, and it's a call to phase out peat usage in horticultural soils. This is a really big issue that I think lots of people don't even realize that is happening. Is peatlands all over the world are getting extracted to be used in growing agricultural crops, or to be used as horticultural soil. And many of the soils that you'll get in any kind of garden centre, they'll have peat in them. And the Netherlands has actually run out of this kind of peat or turf to be used in horticulture, so they actually import all of their soil, mostly from Eastern Europe, where the peatlands are a lot more in better condition. They also import it from Germany and the UK. So alongside this petition, we wanted to make it a bit more kind of lively. So we also launched a crowd action. So this is kind of like the idea of a crowdfunder, but it's with pledges of a certain action. So we said 1 year of buying peat-free soil. And we're still waiting, we're still getting up to 200 participants. So if you want to join that crowd action, then please do. That would be awesome. And yeah, so I think that's mostly about the petition. The next thing we've been working on is the peat Anthology. So this is, a few days ago we hosted a webinar which was all about the EU's Common Agricultural Policy, which is a decision that's going to get made next month. And it is very big part of the EU funding goes towards agricultural subsidies. But at the moment, up until now, the subsidies have really gone towards drainage-based agriculture. So basically when you drain the peatland and you grow very simple crops, a lot of it is used for animal agriculture and dairy farming. And so basically what we did was we created this peat Anthology, which is a collection of letters, poems, drawings, images, all different kinds of forms of contribution that are all directed at the members of the European Parliament. And basically the idea of this was basically to reach the MEPs on a bit more of a personal level, a bit more of a kind of emotional level. And yeah, we also want to kind of switch up this idea of advocacy so that it's not so kind of set in stone. Kind of want to change the way that people do stuff. So we also talked a bit about that in the webinar. You can also rewatch that on YouTube. And we're still planning on getting these peat Anthology documents, which is now like a book, I would say, onto the desks of the members of the European Parliament before they make the decision. So that's the new thing on the agenda. And So the last thing I'm going to talk about is the Crowdfunder. So this is our next project coming up, and up until now, believe it or not, we've just spent our own money on this project. So it will be nice to get a bit of cash and fund our next projects. So these are some more images from the Peatfest field notebook, these drawings. So this will be one thing that we'll be kind of selling in the Crowdfunder. Then we're also creating a children's book, which is kind of like an adventure into a peatland, which is going to be really magical. And we're also creating a peatland cookbook. So these are some of the things that you'll find in the Crowdfunder, which we're really excited about. And some things coming out of the Crowdfunder, we're thinking of making a quarterly magazine called The Bog Standard. So that's one thing to keep your eyes peeled for. And I think that's basically my presentation up. Follow us on all the social medias. We're still like a baby in terms of our numbers, so it's cool if we get any followers. And check out our website because there's lots more information. If I've missed something, it's mostly likely you'll find it on the website. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the festival. Bye.